Foo Dog Films presents Paid to Dream with Charles Dennis. Hello there, it's Charles Dennis, and we're back again with Paid to Dream. And this is such a special guest for me. I've known him since he was 14 years old, but we'll get to that eventually. Mr. President!
How are you, sir?
You have worked your way up from Air Force One when I think you were an assistant to the vice president.
I was a lowly assistant to the vice president. I've been congressmen and senators, and
And now you're the president of the United States on Tempest.
finally graduated.
And you're the only non-Korean, I think. Can you tell us about this?
I'm not the only non-Korean on the show on Tempest. No. There's wonderful Michael Gaston and Brooke Smith and Alicia Hanna and oh gosh, yeah, there were several of us. Romy Rosemont. They brought us all over to Seoul last year to film it. So I was over in Seoul for about 2 weeks, and I think the American contingent, the White House contingent, we all flew over to Seoul and we shot all of that stuff on Tempest in this incredible mock-up of the White House that they built on the soundstage in Seoul. It was Bong Joon-ho's studios, his production facility there. So I had just gotten done filming The Residents, the Shonda Rhimes show, and they did an incredible job recreating the White House there. But I didn't think they could do it any better. But when I got to the Tempest set, they did a magnificent job. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, pretty cool to be president.
So how much stuff is being done in South Korea by America?
A lot. Yeah. A lot of stuff being filmed over there. This is the first major kind of joint. It's Disney, Hulu, and it was the first major joint co-production between America and Korea, and they're bringing a lot more stuff over there now. I mean, Seoul is an amazing city. I was really floored by how beautiful it is, and the people are lovely, and we got treated like rock stars over there. It was a really special experience. And then obviously the stars of the show are whose names I will butcher if I try to pronounce them, but they're all wonderful. They are the megastar. They are the Brad Pitt and Julia Roberts and whoever the equivalent over there in Seoul. They are the megastars. It's Tempest is what they call a K-drama, which are very, very popular right now. These kind of soap opera K-dramas, they call them, that are wildly popular. And this is a sort of an expanded, amplified version of a K-drama that they turned into a miniseries for Hulu. So yeah, it was great fun. I was over there for about 2.5 weeks, and John Cho, who is also he was in the Star Trek films and Harold and Kumar and all of that. Wonderful actor. He's Korean by descent, but he's also a big star in Korea. So it was a great combination of actors and talents, and it was a lot of fun. I can't wait to go back.
Now you are spackling like crazy on my side of the screen.
Oh, really?
Do you look okay where you are looking at the screen?
I look gorgeous, baby. I look
Okay, so hopefully it'll all be okay.
I look amazing, and so do you.
Otherwise, it will be.
I'm trying to pick out the books on your bookshelf. I'm trying to check out your reading taste. I love the photos on the walls. That painting above you.
Those are all autographed photos.
Who's on your wall there?
Well, let me tip it a little more for you.
Cagney, I love.
So this Cagney one was an incredible find. You really have to tip it into the light to see it, but it's actually signed Jim.
Hang on, is that Charles Lawton?
A very, very young here. Look at this baby Charles Lawton.
Charles Lawton, wow, yes, very baby, yeah.
I was in London many times, but years ago, and I bought a whole bunch of these. This is Raymond Massey. These are all like the 20s and early. Look at him,
Mr. Lincoln, young Mr. Lincoln.
Before he was Jonathan Brewster in Arsenic and Old Lace. This is I have to put them all back later. This is a particular favorite.
Take them all off. I want to. Wait a minute. Oh, George Saunders.
Yeah, because I did a one-man show called High Class Heel. I played George Saunders. Um,
Wasn't his suicide note was famously he said, "I'm so bored."
yeah. Well,
Is that true?
he was also very ill, but also his wife Benita, who was Ronald Coleman's widow, she had died about a year earlier, and he never got over that. He was in love with her forever, from before she married Coleman. They were married within a month after Ronald Coleman's death. So who knows what was going on all those.
Yes, wasted no time.
Absolutely, and
I don't want you to take all of this.
here's a young William Powell.
William Powell, love it. Now, is that autographed as well?
Oh yes.
Where do you find these on
Well,
eBay or
well,
Etsy
back
or?
then there was a batch of them that I bought in London, but since then I've continued. I have to hang these up later. I mean, who else is here? I was in Vienna and I got, now this one will blow you away because you've never seen him this young.
Is that George Byrne? No, wait, hang on.
It's Cuddles Sakal,
Well, who is that?
from Casablanca and all,
From Casablanca. Oh, such watch.
Yeah, yeah.
Such. What time is it? What watch? Such
Such
watch.
what watch. But
Yes, yeah.
look how young.
What's his name?
His name was Shuka, but he took it was SZ Sakal, and then they called him because of they called him Cuddles, so that I'm sure he hated.
Cuddles. Yeah.
But I think he was another one who probably didn't speak a word of English and learned all his parts phonetically. Albert Basserman, who was nominated for an Oscar for foreign correspondent, never learned to speak English, and he gave brilliant performances all through the war. But he did it all, learning each thing. And long after he died, Olivier made a living impersonating him whenever he played all of those Nazi hunters and everything. He sounded just like Albert Basserman.
Olivier was doing him in Marathon Man.
Absolutely. What the hell? He couldn't be sued. The man was dead. It's a good thing to keep in mind. So, presidents run in your family, it seems. Your mother was a president.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Ooh, what a segue. Nice segue, Charles.
Thank you. Thank you. I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah. Mom was the first woman president of SAG. Yeah.
Let's give her the billing. Kathleen Nolan.
Kathleen Nolan, 72 to 78. First woman president of a labor union in the world. I will have you know. So yeah, she just turned 92. She's
She was a boyhood crush of mine from Peter Pan. I watched that on TV when she played Wendy, and of course the Real McCoys.
Yep. Just turned 92, still going strong. She was out there with me during the last strike 2 summers ago. She was out there, on the picket line, with her walker, singing old Woody Guthrie Union songs, and she's a tough cookie, man. She's going to outlive us all.
I think so. I was so disappointed when I couldn't get the two of you to play mother and son
Oh yeah,
in Deadly Draw, but we may still, the South may rise again. We shall see.
yes, that would be great.
I just came across a fascinating tale. She grew up on riverboats. Her family.
She grew up on a riverboat on the Goldenrod showboat on the Mississippi River in St. Louis. It was docked in St. Louis, and there was a theater on the showboat called the Goldenrod. That's right.
And she performed it. And when she was 6, she went to the management and demanded a raise because she was getting 25 cents and everybody else was getting 250.
Yep. And she got a raise up to 75 cents or something. She and her sister, my aunt Nancy, who went by Nancy Devlin for many years as an actress. My grandma and grandpa were both actors, Stephen Ellsworth and Clara Kennedy, and my mom, obviously, and my aunt Nancy, and they all grew up on that showboat. But that was my mom's first union negotiation at age 6. True story.
And she got more money for the other performers as well, apparently.
Correct. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Pain in the ass to everybody, and she got her way, and that sort of paved the way for her being. I mean, she was involved in union politics, Actors Equity, and SAG, but she really got into it, in the '70s. She was first woman, first like recording secretary, then first vice president, and then president. So she sort of worked her way up through the ranks. She plowed through a field of 6 men in her first election, and then I think five.
Would you please explain that? That's a term that some people may not.
Plowed through. I mean, she mowed them all down. With 61% of the vote or something. I think the first time around. So, kind of unheard of back then. Yeah, she's a force of nature. Very proud of her. Yeah.
Great, great lady.
Yeah, indeed.
So going back to the presidents, not only were you a president, but I see you have a credit as president's pimp in.
Oh, oh yes. Well, that was the movie Blonde. I think that was with Ana de Armas and Adrian Brody. Ana de Armas played Marilyn Monroe, and a lot of my stuff was cut from that movie, and I'm actually kind of glad of it.
And that was a remake, I believe, because I saw it. That's the Joyce Carol Oates book.
Yes, and it was not a great experience for me particularly, and so when I went to the premiere and saw that the pimp role, I was JFK's, sort of body man and I guess pimp, and yeah, and a lot of that stuff was cut out, but there was a rape scene with JFK and Marilyn that was I think largely cut out, but there was a lot of stuff in there that was just unnecessarily graphic, and yeah, it was a strange film. So out of all the stuff that I've done, I can, and I've gotten snipped on the cutting room floor and a couple of things, but that was one that I could safely say, yeah, I'm okay with that one.
First movie I ever didn't appear in, was won the Academy Award for Best Picture. It was Patton, and my scene was cut, and it just, for years I dreamt about going to the movies and seeing it, and it wasn't there.
Oh wow, yeah. Oh boy.
And when they brought out the DVD and there were scenes that were, it still wasn't there. And I would love to, if nothing else, get a still from Fox. But now that it's not Fox, who knows, what you can find. I was a child.
You must have been a child. What was Patton 60?
Uh, uh, it was released in 70. It was shot in 69. Yeah. I'd been living in London for about a month, and my agents, William Morris, they sent me over to Fox House in Soho Square, and I met the legendary, I think it was Miriam Brickman, and I sat and chatted, and she wrote on the back of my headshot, "Sounds American," because I'm Canadian, and I'm American.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know you were Canadian.
Yeah, I was born in Toronto, but I aspired from the age of 7 to escape across the border.
But you don't say Toronto like most people I know from Toronto. They say Toronto. They don't pronounce the T. I notice you pronounce the T. So you've been living in the States long enough, because every Canadian, every Torontonian, they say Toronto. So you've obviously been weaned to that. Um,
And 6 years in England would also get rid of it. Nary an A has ever crossed my lips, eh?
yes, exactly. uh, Patton was written by Francis Coppola. Who directed Patton?
Co-written. Edmund North was the other credited writer on that. It was Franklin Schaffner, who was, yeah, yeah. It was huge. Um, I was just listening to an audio version of the show that I did with Cranston a few years ago, and we will not see its like again because it was shot on film. But the other thing was, we shot at Bronston Studios with that guy Samuel Bronston, who did El Cid and all those big epics. And this, had a full facility, but for whatever reason, Fox said, no, 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 we can't edit it here. So the dailies were then flown back to Pico Boulevard, and so the actors The day players were on hold for 10 days until the process and then shipped back again. Yeah. Some people made a lot of money on that movie. My God. Do you remember John Doucette? John Doucette, he had that bastard.
Yeah.
He had one scene in the movie. Um, he was playing one of the generals, and he was there for 3 weeks before they ever got to him. And so he cabled, there's a term we don't use anymore, cabled his wife and family, rent the place. They came, they came over, and they were there for 10 weeks before he shot his one scene. He had a wonderful vacation, and he made an awful lot of money.
I did that on. Well, I've had that experience a few times on big budget studio movies, which we probably won't see for a while again. But on Iron Man 3, I was in Wilmington, North Carolina for 5 weeks. I worked one day, so I was there for about 3.5 weeks, just puttering around Wilmington, doing nothing. And then they called me in, and I worked one day. Finally worked one day at the end of 5 weeks. But it was a wonderful paid vacation. They gave me a rented car, and I drove out to the beach. I drove out to Kitty Hawk and putted all over North Carolina while I waited for my call, and I finally got to go in and shoot my one day.
Have you gone to Bulgaria yet?
I have not worked in Bulgaria. I'd love to work in Bulgaria. I heard it's beautiful. I heard Sofia is gorgeous. Yeah.
There's a lot. Yeah, Fred Melamed is leaving, is doing this film with Al Pacino and Kiefer Sutherland in Bulgaria.
Oh yeah, I know of that one. I've heard of that one. Yeah. Yeah. I've done a bunch. I've done a bunch of work with Fred. We do a bunch of these word theater uh, readings. We do spoken word and short story readings for students in inner city schools and stuff. Fred's a great guy.
Do you play cards? Oh,
I do not play cards. I feel like, and I get asked to play cards all the time. I feel like I need to turn in my man card because I'm not a, I've never learned how to play poker. I can play blackjack, but I can't play gin or bridge or poker or any of that stuff. I really feel like I need to learn. It's not too late, but yeah, a lot of my dudes play poker regularly and they play in charity tournaments and all that. I just never got the bug.
that's quite the, speaking of your dudes, that's quite the posse. I saw a post the other day of you with the late Diane Keaton. Uh, what was that? And oh my God, there was you, Fred Molina, Lawrence Fishburne. Is this a regular habit?
That's a group that we started about 7 years ago. We call ourselves the CADS. It's the Character Actors Dining Society. And yeah, it's me, Michael McKean, Kevin Pollak, Jason Alexander, LeVar Burton, Lawrence Fishburne, Paul McCrane, Rob Morrow, Noah Wiley, Stephen Weber, Eric McCormick, I think I said, and Bryan Cranston. And we meet for dinner once a month. This is a core group of 12 of us, and we meet for dinner once a month. We started out like five of us at Musso and Frank's, and then it kind of snowballed into this thing, and we outgrew the table at Musso's, and so now we go to just somebody's house and or we go to Craig's. And that particular night, the picture that I posted when Ms. Keaton passed away, yeah, that was Harold Perrineau was joining us and Fishburne, and literally Diane Keaton was floating through the restaurant. It was Craig's restaurant in West Hollywood, and I'd been in love with her my entire life. I'd met her years and years earlier briefly. A buddy of mine was her assistant, and I met her on the Sony lot very quickly. But she walked into the restaurant, and I was really distraught when she passed away. It was really a great loss, a month after Robert Redford, who was another giant. And Diane Keaton walked through the restaurant, and every one of us at the table was, starstruck. And she was walking by us. She was with Harold Becker, the director, directed Sea of Love and some wonderful films. And she did a double take, and she's look at all you boys. I love all of you guys. Can I take a picture with you? And I was like, wow. And she sat with us for about 20 minutes and chatted with us. And, Fishburne, no, I don't think any of us had ever met her before, or none of the other guys had ever worked with her or spent any time with her. So we were all just kind of like just lost in the ether of being with her. She was just lovely, lovely as you wanted her to be.
And I'm appalled by these horrible AI tributes that I'm seeing on Facebook. I mean, who was it? Steve Martin, you know, and
Yeah. Did somebody do an AI thing and put words into his mouth or something?
well, and the thing that gave it away was that the congregation was behind Steve Martin. So who the hell speaks at someone's memorial not facing the congregation? So that was a dead giveaway. And then there was one 2 days ago with Nicholson,
Oh, I didn't see that one. I'm glad I didn't see it. It would have
looking a lot healthier than he's been in the candid photos we've seen of him the last few years. And it's just shameless. This,
been, yeah, it drives me crazy. And whenever I see that stuff, I just keep scrolling and turn it off. I can't stand the AI stuff. I really can't. I know it's here to stay. The horse is out of the barn. It's gonna ruin a lot of creativity and ruin a lot of lives and really hurt this business. I know people extol its virtues. I mean, when you go on Siri and you go on social media, it's all powered by AI and all of that stuff. I understand, but seeing things like there was some video that I saw on Instagram not long ago when it was Jack Kennedy, and he was clearly giving a speech that he had never spoken before.
oh, that's the other one I saw the other day of Sinatra, Kennedy, and Marilyn Monroe. But this is, it's like, who's in charge? I mean, there's no one to complain to. I've told people, I said, but wait till the bosses of these AI companies get taken over by the AI. And then, what, I mean, well, I've had fun up till now. So, you know, it's been good. Exactly. Exactly. Now I'm seeing, there it is, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and that wonderful book that's just come out.
Yes, great book, gorgeous book. I've been plugging that book for just largely for my friend Jay who wrote it, but I don't we just met because he reached out to me. It was commissioned by Tarantino and Sony and the folks that made the film, and he reached out to me about a year and change ago and said I'm interviewing everybody from the film, everyone from the casting director to the production designer, all of the cast members that I can find. And so it was a real sweet honor to have been asked to be a part of that thing because I'm in the movie for 3.5 minutes, but it was really nice. There were some nice pictures of me in there, and it's a gorgeous book. I actually just ordered a bunch of them. I pre-ordered them, and they all came yesterday. They literally weigh about 15 pounds each. It's a big fat book, so I got a bunch of them for Christmas presents. But it's a beautiful, beautiful book. And Jay is also he did another gorgeous book on the deer hunter. Um, a great he did one on Raging Bull, another one on De Niro himself. So that's what he does. He does these big fat coffee table books about iconic films. So this is great. And now he's doing Django Unchained and Inglorious Bastards. He's doing those together as one book. So that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully I'll get to be in the if there is indeed a tenth and final movie that Tarantino is doing. He's saying he's doing one more, allegedly, huh?
How old is he? He's hanging up his spur.
60, 62, 61, 62, something like that. But he's married with a baby, maybe I think a baby or two. He lives in Tel Aviv. His wife is Israeli, so he lives in Tel Aviv. Um, and he goes back and forth. I mean, he's here a lot, but he lives his home base is Tel Aviv, and supposedly his last film is going to be he's writing a Broadway play. I'm not telling tales out of school because there was a tenth and final film, and it was going to be called The Critic, and it was about a movie critic, and that whole thing got scuttled. He decided not to make that one, so he's writing a Broadway play, and he said, or at least he told me, he said if the play is successful, then he's going to turn the Broadway play script into a feature film, and that'll be his tenth and final movie. So we'll see. But he's an amazing guy. I mean, I was on that set for all of maybe 3 hours in and out in one. That was it, in and out in one day. I had a 7 a.m. call time. I was in my car at 6 a.m. Got to this western town ranch in Newhall. 7 a.m. I was in the makeup trailer and I was on the set by 7:45, 8 o'clock, and I was back in my car by 10:30, 11 o'clock. It was like in and out. We did two takes. We did a master take on Brad, take on Leo, take on me, and then I did that little sign off thing that I did that Quentin asked me to come up with that little thing. This is Alan Kincaid signing off. So he asked me to cut. So I came up with that on the fly, which was really kind of fun. So um,
So you're the go-to guy for playing newscasters, it seems. Well, there's Sean Hannity right behind you.
I don't know. I mean, there's Sean Hannity. Well, I wouldn't call him a newscaster. Yeah, yeah, I don't know what he is. He's a propagandist, a tool, a useful tool of Rupert Murdoch and Fox. But uh,
Well, how do you feel about playing someone who you obviously are not fond of?
you leave your judgment at the door. I mean, he was a character to play, and I already found him. He's such an interesting character to watch. I watch more Fox News. I watch more hours of Hannity than I ever cared to, just to kind of get his cadence and rhythms and speech patterns and all of that. And he's kind of cartoonish, and so I had to sort of leave that aside and just sort of play him as him. I didn't, I just sort of did an impersonation of him, I guess. But I played Bob Woodward, I played Walter Reuther, I played Joe McCarthy, I played a lot of real life guys. I mean, I played Joe McCarthy, and talk about leaving your judgment at the door when you play somebody like that. So it's fun. It's fun to get to play real life guys. Played Tom DeLay, the old Congressman Tom DeLay, in a movie called Casino Jack, for George Hickenlooper, and so I think I played something like 15 real life people. So I mean, Hannity was fun. Hannity was a fun thing to play. It was a great, great and timely film, Bombshell. Um, Bob Woodward was fun to play. Got to meet him about a year ago at a wedding. In fact, there's a picture. Here, I'll grab this since we're taking pictures off the wall. This was I did a movie called The Front Runner with Hugh Jackman for Jason Reitman, and so this was in Ben Bradley's office in the movie. And Ben Bradley was played by Alfred Molina, who's part of our CADS group, and and they superimposed my face over Bob Woodward's body, and it's Redford, it's Hoffman, Redford, Bernstein, and Woodward. And they put my head over his face, and so I met Woodward at a wedding in D.C. about a year and a half ago, and I was introduced to him by Wolf Blitzer, who's an old friend, and I went up and I said, yes, I played you in a movie, and he said, oh, what movie? And I started to tell him, and he literally took out. It literally happens to be sitting on my desk, so I'll show you this. This was the menu at the wedding. First course, second course, entree, halibut, but everybody at the wedding had their name on the menu. So this was Bob Woodward's menu. So I said, Mr. Woodward, I said, I played you in a film. And he said, oh, tell me all about it. And so he took the menu and he flipped it over and he took out a pen and he started taking notes on the back of the menu. He wanted to know what other movies I'd done and, what I'd been in. And so I said, well, I've got this great picture of you. And so he said, well, send me that picture. So I sent him that picture, and then I ran into him about a couple of months ago at an event, and I did a reading of All the President's Men with Robert Downey and Mark Ruffalo and Gwyneth Paltrow and Julianne Moore. It was a fundraiser for a theater in New York. Dana was in it, my partner, Dana Bash, and she played Martha Mitchell, which was a scene that was actually cut from the movie. And so Woodward and Bernstein were there.
Now, listen, before we run out of time, because we're going to have to go over a little bit, which is okay with me. Um, when you and I encountered each other about 15 years ago at CED, our voiceover agents, and no, no, I've moved on to other places, several since then. But we got to chatting, and I went home, and I remember you were telling me how much you admired Cranston, who you had not met at that time, and he had been friends forever. And then I went home and I looked you up and I said, "Oh my God." And so you and I met again, and it was a SAG thing, a big meeting at the Hollywood Roosevelt. And I said, "Spencer, where do you know me from?" He goes, "From CED." I said, "Before that." And you didn't know. And I said, "Spencer,
My dad.
I bought your dad's house. You used to keep the house." His father was a wonderful man named Richard Heckenkamp, and I bought my house from him, my first house ever, just to.
On are you in that house? Are you on Corey Avenue?
No, no, I foolishly sold it a year later because I needed a bigger house. Um, but the great thing, and I had an injury the day before I moved, and your father moved me into his house. And then he kept coming to the house every day because he couldn't let go of the house.
He kept coming back.
And he was then selling time for Channel 5. And then he started to read my scripts and he said, "I want to be your agent." So he went back to being an agent. And for he was my agent. And
Yeah, that's right.
then we went over to,
That's right. That's right.
yeah, it was a wonderful house.
That was a great little house. That was a wonderful little house. I remember that he had a hard time leaving that house, and then
I don't know why he sold it if he was so attached to it. It was weird. But he came with that.
he sold that house, and then I think he moved. Well, I think his next house was up Queens Road, north of Sunset Boulevard. He moved into at a very similar house. He had very it was kind of a mid-century, lovely little house, but that was a great house, great little backyard.
Yeah. And I met your mother because he brought her over one day. And I thought, this guy's amazing. This is his ex wife. He's bringing her over. And they stayed.
They were they stayed friends. They had no business being married to each other on any planet, but they did stay friends with each other until he.
They told me the funniest story. There was a housekeeper they were very unhappy with, and they wanted to get rid of her. I don't know if you know this story. And they said, "Well, who's going to do it? You're going to do it. Am I going to do it?" And so your dad sat down at the piano, and your mother sang, and together they turned to the woman and said, "Got along without you before we met, you're going to get along without you now." And they fired her to music. I thought, I love it.
I've never heard that story. That that sounds. They sang that song to. Oh, this is when they were married to one another. Is this what you're saying? I see. Okay. Oh,
Yes, but they told me the story afterwards how they got rid of this housekeeper who I think was stealing from them or whatever.
well, I was. I mean, they met at a party. They met. He was playing piano at a party, and she had just come off of Peter Pan, and she it was Susan Oliver, the late great actress Susan Oliver, was having a party at her house. She was with Sandy Koufax. She was dating Sandy Koufax at the time. And for those kids out there, Sandy Koufax, the great Dodger pitcher who we saw on television the last couple of nights. And my dad was playing the piano at Susan Oliver's house. My mom sat down, and my father was very taken with her. She was gorgeous, and he started playing songs from Peter Pan. And years later, when people would ask mom, why did you marry Richard? You guys had nothing in common, and she said he played in my key. So so they got married. Like they met that night. They got married, I think 2 or 3 weeks later. I think I might have even been conceived the night of that party. Um, but yeah, it was doomed from the start. But so I'm surprised when you tell me that they were like singing together at the piano. That's nice to hear because it didn't. It went. Everything kind of went pear shaped in that marriage pretty quickly. So
Well, listen, uh, we've I've overstayed my welcome, but I've been. I know, but we're going to have to do a sequel because otherwise it's going to throw this whole thing out of whack. And Spencer, it's all these years later. Here we are again.
What a treat, my friend. Well, let's see each other in the real in 3D in the real world soon.
Absolutely. I will call you and we'll make a date. Okay, this has been Charles Dennis and Paid to Dream, and my super duper guest, Spencer Heckenkamp Garrett.
Or Garrett Heckenkamp.
Or Garrett Heckenkamp. Okay, bye bye.
Bye, buddy.